Hi there. We're going to take a look at the sophisticated thesis statement. We've looked previously at the basic thesis, and now we're going to look on how to build on that skill. All right, so with our very basic thesis statement, this is what a person would use for a novice writer, for somebody who's really nervous about writing, somebody who feels uncomfortable stating their opinion. All you do is add I think, I feel, or I believe at the front of the opinion statement itself. And then it all kind of comes together as a nice thesis statement. So we have a couple of examples to show you here. I think that writing skills are important in school and work. So the actual opinion is that writing skills are important in school and work, but by adding I think in the front of that, a novice writer may feel more comfortable being able to get that thesis statement down on paper. Next example, I feel that people who can communicate clearly are happier. Again, we have the opinion that people who can communicate clearly are happier, and I feel is just popped at the front there to make that into a thesis statement that an early writer can use pretty easily. And then our final example, I believe that communication skills can be improved. So as we can see here, we're using I think, I feel, or I believe in the front of the opinion statement to create a very basic thesis. Now, once you've mastered that, you want to take on more sophisticated styles of writing. I've got 3 different styles for you here. First one is why and what thesis statement. Now, kind of an odd title, but what it basically means is that within that thesis, you are giving your reader why they need to agree with you and what it is that they're agreeing to. Okay? Let's take a look at a couple of different examples. Number 1, since we know that writing skills are used in most workplaces, all people should be able to write well. So the why, that comes first, the answer to why. Okay. We know that writing skills are used in most workplaces. That's why. Lots of people need to have those writing skills. Okay, well, what is it that they need to agree with? What is it that you're asking of your readers? All people should be able to write well. That's what you're asking. So it's just why and what. You're just answering those 2 questions. Why should they agree? And what is it that they're agreeing to? 2 more examples here. When so much evidence suggests that couples who communicate openly are happier, people should learn strong communication skills. So again, why should I agree and what am I agreeing to? There you go. And third example, even though a person who communicates poorly may feel discouraged, communication skills can be improved. So again, why should I agree and what am I agreeing to? It's got some great information, easy way to put that out to your reader. The easiest way that you can do this too, by the way, a little trick here, put the words although or even though at the front of a why and what thesis statement, and the rest of it will kind of come together naturally. That's an easy way to get yourself started. Start off with although or even though. Let's take a look at another example here. We can begin with data. So start off with a nice statistic, something that's going to bring your reader into agreeing with you from the very beginning here. And by the way, all of these statistics are invented, so none of these are accurate statistics, just so you know. All right, first example, since 67% of college graduates suggest that strong communication skills help them in their careers, schools should focus more on communication. Okay, so we're starting off with this data about 67% of college graduates, right? That's the data we're starting off with. But the opinion itself, the arguable opinion that is the thesis, is schools should focus more on communication. Same thing with our second one. We're going to start off with data. Roughly 30% of managers suggest that their least productive employees are also poor communicators, suggesting that poor communication and unhappiness are connected. So we're starting off with data, and then after we've got that, then we're following up with the thesis. We're following up with the opinion itself. And our final example here, 9 out of 10 respondents suggested that the communication success course improved their communication skills. Just an invented course, by the way. So we're saying here that the statistic of 9 of 10 respondents suggested that they got some improvement. Okay, that would suggest you probably a good course, whatever that course is. So beginning with data, great way to write your thesis statement. Definitely more sophisticated than starting out with that basic thesis statement where you're starting off with I think, I feel, or I believe. Let's look at our last example. You're acknowledging the opposition. This is great when you're looking at an issue that's particularly controversial. Most issues these days seem to be controversial, don't they? So if you can start off by acknowledging the opposition, you've got a really strong foothold into whatever it is that you're writing. If it's a memo or a blog post or an essay or a research paper, whatever that is, if you can start off acknowledging the opposition, you've got a really strong start here. So first example, although some may disagree, strong communication skills are necessary for success. Okay, so we're acknowledging that others disagree with this viewpoint, but we're still stating it, right? Still stating that thesis statement, that opinion. Second example, regardless of those supporting the status quo, improving one's communication improves one's life. So we're seeing here a cause and effect that, hey, you improve your communication, you're improving your life, and we're also knocking down the opposition. We're saying, you know what, you're supporting the status quo, I'm not going to support that. I'm going to have a different opinion here. All right, let's look at the final example here. Unfortunately, the Anti-Education Board does not support communication trainings, even though they are proven effective. Okay, the Anti-Education Board, of course, is invented for the purposes of instruction here, but you get the idea. We're acknowledging the opposition. We're saying the opposition exists. They have an opposite viewpoint. They have a viewpoint that is wrong. We're going to show that in our piece of writing here. We're going to start off by showing that in the thesis statement. So, as you move from that basic thesis statement, that very beginning starting point, and you're moving into a more sophisticated writing style, moving into using one of these styles of thesis statements can improve your writing by making that thesis more sophisticated, more complicated, more interesting to your reader. Really improves your writing overall. Okay, I hope that this has been helpful to your writing. Good luck to you.